Chinese films focus a lot on the stories of everyday people. You can see this in many films from the 80s onwards, where lots are centered around people's personal struggles during hard periods of history, like the Cultural Revolution, which many of the fifth generation have vivid memories of living through, as they were born in the 50s, and the sixth generation will also remember, as they would have been young children during that period between 1966 and 1976. But the modern youth do not have a political revolution thrust upon them, and have very different struggles to face. And recent films highlight the difficulties that this new generation stand against. A film from last year, Better Days, by Hong Kong director Derek Tsang, exposes the competitive nature of the Chinese school system and the often brutal truth that young Chinese students learn, succeed, or be left behind. Set in Chongqing, the story is exceptionally dramatic and violent. And while these incidents may not be the reality for the majority, they do bring to light how difficult life can be at this age without the support and comfort that comes with upper-class living. Our main character, Chen Yan, played outstandingly by Zhou Dongyu, has to take care of herself and has nothing else in her crosshairs than to pass her final Gaokao exams. These exams are tough and see teenagers pitted against 10 million of their peers. 20% will likely not be successful, but very many more will fail to achieve a score good enough for a high-quality school, and will feel the hopes and dreams of their family condition fall around them. During this time, Nian is also the target of extremely violent bullying, reminiscent of her peer who commits suicide near the beginning of the film. She finds protection in an older boy, Xiao Bei, who she meets first while he is assaulted on her way home from school. Bei, unlike Nian, does not have the gift of brains, and his failures in study have led him into a life of crime and misfortune. Their relationship blurs between protection, romance, and a parental instinct, and sacrifices must be made to ensure Nian can succeed in her studies and pull herself out of poverty.
我这个人什么都不是，没脑子，没钱，也没有未来。可是我喜欢一个人，我想要给他最好的结局。
This film was a very brave portrayal of schoolyard bullying, which even the state-run news outlet China Daily admitted was a nationwide problem. The audience is subjected to quite graphic scenes of adolescent violence, reminiscent of the news stories and viral videos that the online community in China see regularly. Nian's need to succeed over all other issues she's battling shows us just how vital these exams are for the Chinese youth, and in many cases, can change the course of their entire family's success.
我知道我这个妈不怎么样，你再咬咬牙啊，等到大学毕业，咱就算熬出头了。
Better Days shows us how cinema in China can excite social commentary, and at times can still bring issues to light that may even be critical of how certain public sectors should be taking responsibility. Nian seeks help from the school and also reports the issue to the police.
喂，是正经妈妈。
But throughout the film, failure to bring justice upon the real perpetrators of the crime shows us how powerless some of these public services can be.
胡小杰死了不好吗？他要是没死的话，他妈也弄不到那么多钱，说不定学校一闹能给个几十万呢。他要没死的话，考上大学工作得多少年才能相信他妈这么多钱？
The realization of the lack of a proper justice in the system makes me feel helpless for these young people trying to succeed against all odds. And the situation that we see our main character in her future shows us that the success of her surviving high school made that difference, leaving us questioning whether so much should hang on such a short time in one's life, and whether there is a way that all this violence and despair of her experience needed to happen at all. It is interesting to note that after months of being blocked by censors, when the film was released, it featured public service announcements at the end of the film detailing new steps the government is making against bullying, and at the beginning of the film greets the audience with this message. But school is not the only difficulty that the youth in China face, especially outside of the big sprawling cities. The age of urbanization and brain drain has left many areas of China in a position that young people aspire to escape from. A great film to highlight this is Hubo's An Elephant Sitting Still. When looking at this movie, there's so much to take in. The intertwined stories and hopeless desperation of all its main characters mean that there are many themes and stories to choose from. Director Hubo, whose debut release is also sadly his last film due to his suicide in 2017, shows us a China that is a far throw from the dazzling skyscrapers or beautiful bamboo forest that we are used to seeing. Instead, we are thrown into this desolate headache of a low-tier city with a declining industry and growing disparity. For the subject of this video, I'm going to talk about the two teenage main characters, although the stories of all the characters are important and interlinked. Wei Bu and his friend Li Kai, which actually sound similar to the words Wei Bu and Li Kai, which can mean unpredictable and to leave or depart. This is my theory, but when you look at the broader story, these names would make sense. These boys are once again the subject of bullying by their peers at school, and in Wei's case, difficulty in an unsupportive home. After an incident where Wei's bully was left seriously injured, he decides that he needs to get out of this town, following a story of an elephant in a faraway city. Huang Ling is our second teenager. Her mother a drunk and negligent, she finds comfort in an unusual companionship with the vice dean at her school. When this information gets out and the affair is no longer sustainable, Huang decides that she should also follow Wei Bu's story of the elephant. All the characters in our story have a reason to leave. Each one has the need to shed themselves of the town's industrial hangover. But for most of the older generation, this town is their only reality. It has taken care of them over the years. But for the young characters that we quite literally follow around its streets, this town is a prison, seemingly unending and full of quiet cruelty.
你去了那什么满洲里，你又能怎么办？
会有办法。你跟我去满洲里吗？我可以打工。我之前每个暑假都打过工，我什么都做过。即使不成立，不在乎。
For countless young people, this is a reality that must be escaped. To make a fresh start in a new city, with opportunities and vibrance. But for so many, those opportunities seem impossible to reach. And for these characters, there is nothing but despair in front of them, leading them instead to aspire and escape to see an elephant that sits still all day. While the world around it changes and hurls its weight against it, the elephant is constant, calm, still. It seems to me that the elephant is the town, which stays the same as the country develops around it. It seems even desperately sad also that our characters aspire to witness the same thing that has them trapped in the first place, almost as if they're stuck between two of the same choices. Simran Hans of The Guardian writes that Paul seems to suggest that ignorance is a means of survival, or for some, the humiliation of daily life is immobilizing. I think that this sums up not just the film but also life in small-town China for the youth. There is an exchange between Wei Bu and some elderly men in the park. The men lose their ball over the fence and ask him to pass it back. Sick of this town and its entrapping nature, the traditional respect for his elders is thrown out the window as he curses back at them. They scrap through the fence and the old men yell back at him. Wei runs away down an old path and ends up facing the town's once burgeoning industrial district. This interaction has left him full of the anger of a youth that has run out of choices and leads them wandering aimlessly until all you can do is look back at it all and scream. I think that teenage angst and struggles are a global condition, And Western cinema focuses on this condition more and more in the last few decades. Through this, we can recognize the universal nature of growing up and trying to make your way in the world. In China, specific conditions create the specific stories that we see, just as specific conditions create the stories we see in any other country or culture. But the base motivations are the same: to try and fit in, to be accepted, to deal with the dogma of one's society or family, while also trying to work out what you want out of life. Seeing these same struggles in a very different environment help us to empathize and understand. And I think this is why watching foreign cinema is an important and powerful way to bring people together. Hey guys, welcome back to Gully, China. Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode. I had a lot of fun writing and researching it, and I'm really looking forward to doing some more projects very soon. If anyone has any feedback or suggestions for me, please let me know, and remember to like, subscribe and share with anyone that you think might be interested.